Wow, I am so excited for you all to hear our next guest, Pamela Potts. She's got over 30 years experience developing leaders and teams. She's an entrepreneur herself, and she really can help guide you with clarity, confidence, and purpose. Her mission is to empower leaders to show up as their authentic, energized self so that they can build healthier teams, create cultures of trust, and achieve sustainable, purpose-driven results. She is a sought-after speaker, coach, and the author of Every Leader is a Coach. So without further ado, here's Pamela. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Power Up Your Life podcast brought to you by GoBundance Women. I'm Kelly Resendez.
And I'm Mandy McAllister.
And I'm so excited to introduce Pamela Potts today. We are so thrilled to have you. So go ahead and just introduce yourself, just briefly, give us a little bit of your background.
Yes, thank you. Well, I'm excited to be here today. And I am an author and a speaker and an executive coach. I have been in the training and development industry for a lot of my career and have had the opportunity to be around a lot of technical, like I got into technical training in my early days and started actually with a larger company and then went out on my own and have kind of had this serial entrepreneurship that I've been involved with. Several different businesses that I've started, a couple that I've sold and exited, and a couple that I've had to close. So been through the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, and but I know that leadership to me is everything. And that is really the focus of what I talk about is leadership and helping people find their best when they're at their best and how to then incorporate that and unlock their own potential and the potential in others.
Yeah, I'm going to dig into that a little bit because there's so much information on who we need to be. What do you see are the top ways that leaders are actually sabotaging their own success today?
Oh, that's a great question. I really do believe that comparison is the biggest thief. When we compare ourselves at the stage that we're at with somebody that is successful that we see, we don't always see all the work and how they got to that place, but we see the results and we compare our story of our journey to their results. And that steals our greatness.
Oh,
that's a big one.
I absolutely love that. I've got to imagine that is a pattern that you see across all of your clients. Are there maybe 2 or 3 more patterns of, things that put a ceiling on growth that you see in these executives that you could tell us about?
Yeah. We get in our own way. I think that's the biggest thing. We get in our own way. We have set expectations that we think are really important and we hustle and we grind. And when we don't know ourselves deep enough to really know where's our sweet spot, what do we want? Where are we? What is worth it to me, the energy that I'm going to give and the focus that I'm going to give? Those are the important questions that we have to ask, and we have to know what that is because we put a ceiling on ourselves because we get past our own, as John Maxwell talks about, our own leadership lid. We don't even realize how we're holding ourselves back. But we have to decide what is it that we want and what's worth it for me to push through and to be able to, what does success actually look like? And am I really defining success as things, or what is it that I want for legacy? What's my legacy? How do I want to be remembered? Whether it's remembered, long term, right? Or like when I walk in the room, what do I want people to feel? How do I want to be remembered for that every day?
Yeah, that's so important. I'm going to give you a really tough one right now because I think you probably see a lot of it, especially as people are, I want to say, becoming vintage leaders like myself. Productivity and responsibility drive so much of us in the early half of our lives, right? It just is like we have to do these things because we've got kids or this. And then you get to this point where you're like, oh my gosh, like now that I don't have that, like where do I really find that inner drive, that comes from? How do you help people find that?
That's such a good question. I see that happen all the time. And don't we all like really want to be successful? And don't we want to strive? And so well, maybe not strive, but we really do want, we want to be at our best. Well, I think truly we do want to do that. And that productivity and responsibility, here's the big difference, is that we often do what we're really, really good at. And we think that's what deserves our time and attention. And what we're good at, if it doesn't give us energy and joy, we miss out. And I know that I've been there because I know I was really good at things. And so I was pushing, pushing, pushing. And I realized, actually, you know what? This is not my energy. This is draining me. And when I can separate what is draining me from what gives me energy, that was a game changer. It became different than a strength and a weakness. It became the energy conversation was different. It didn't make me feel insecure when I said, "Oh, that's actually draining for me." So let me give you a little story about that. I was teaching at junior college and doing consulting. Those are the two things that I was doing for a while, for many years actually. And my teaching was very technical. I got into a lot of coding and database development and things like that. So here I am teaching people these difficult things and trying to really encourage them, giving step by steps. And I could pick out if you miss a bracket or miss one little letter, your code is not good. It doesn't work. So I could go by and look at people's code and help them, and it was great. Love that part of it. And then of course, when you're good at something, people, if you have that know you, like you, trust you, they want you to do your work. So then I did a lot of consulting, a lot of database development, a lot of coding, and got myself into web development and doing front end development. And I was really good at it, but I realized I didn't enjoy it. I kept procrastinating when I had these big projects to do. I kept procrastinating. And I would think, oh my gosh, I've got to have better time management. I need to do this differently. What is my problem? Why am I doing it this way? And I would get so frustrated with myself. And I realized that just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should give the time and energy to it. So when I realized, oh, okay, I'm really good at this, but I don't like the coding part of it. I like the teaching part of it. The teaching, the people part of it gave me the energy. The other things I could do, but it drained me. Me and the computer for hours and hours and hours drained me. It did no longer did it deserve my time.
Oof.
And I shifted gears. It gave me clarity on shifting gears and going into another career path that could use my skills and did not drain all of my energy and just leave me frustrated and burned out.
What an
Wow.
important distinction of that fill you with energy versus deplete you. You know, we have lots of members of GoBundance Women who have made big changes, right? You know, I left a W-2 in medical sales to lean into real estate investment. Kelly is now leaving her, executive role at a company that she's worked with. And there's an identity associated with that, I am curious about the clients that you work for. There's this, visualization that I have of you're holding on to this branch, this identity of where you've been, and you got to let go of that branch to see if you're going to fly. Talk me through that change of identity or the need to let go of something so that you can move on to what's next and better for you.
Oh, that's such a good question, Mandy. I have had a couple of really tough decisions in the past, and sometimes I was with the corporation and ended up getting reorganized, which was a gift because I was already feeling the pull of my heart. Like, I know there's changes coming. I know I need to make a shift, but it's so hard to let go of that comfort and that check. So good for you, both of you guys, on like making that big step. When we can make that big step, and I've often thought, do I need to have somebody else like make that decision for me? Am I too scared to step into what's next? That's the biggest challenge. So letting go of comfort is hard. And when you have that identity of being this person to somebody else, I think that is really where what I find to be true. And I talk to women, especially women, all of the time that are just in this place of what's next for me. And what I want to always go in and first do is like, who are you? It's one thing to read an assessment, it's another thing to actually activate it and feel it. So that energy discussion is the first thing first. Okay. So I have what I call my OMO method, which is observe, map, and optimize. So the first thing we have to do is we've got to slow down long enough to actually observe ourselves and pay attention to the energy enjoyment. If we don't really know what is it that brings us joy, then how can we decide what is fulfilling for us? Is it just going to be another job? Are we creating another job? Are we creating something that's going to give us that fulfillment and that long-term goal? So that sometimes we make those changes just because we cannot stay where we're at. We can't stand it. Why is that? Oftentimes it's because we have a terrible boss. We haven't been modeled a good boss. So now we leave that, create something different for ourselves. And now we're trying to define what we're doing, but we have a bad model. And that's maybe a whole nother conversation about that.
Yeah, for
But,
sure.
but I
Yeah.
think one of the things that we have to do is, first of all, observe, like literally just observe. Don't judge it. I ask people, do this with me. First of all, promise me this. Put your fingers up like you would got Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, right? Promise you this. First of all, be curious, stay curious. Don't judge. Just look at it, observe it. And if you can, and hold it with open hands, with that open mindset, and just look at it, then we can map it. Then we can start to see, okay, where are our energies? What is it, the patterns that we start seeing coming up over and over again? How can we do more of certain things and less of other things? How can I do more of what are the things that energize me, that give me joy? And how can I do less of what you're doing? That's the end of the day. That's really where we can find our most fulfillment. But what specifically is what I like to call your formula for flow? When are you in that zone that work feels so easy and effortless? That's the very thing that most people struggle with because it's so easy, it doesn't feel like any big deal.
Yeah.
But
Well, and
actually, that's
goes
often the
against
superpower.
it goes against like what we've actually been shown. Like the
Mhm,
grind, you
mhm,
got to grind it out. You've got to be resilient. You've got to do all these other things. And that is a
mhm,
way, right? You can become successful worldly taking that
mhm,
path. But there's
mhm,
also this other path of like really just being in flow where
mhm,
you're magnetized and you're really just attracting what you desire. So thanks for sharing that.
mhm,
What would you
mhm,
say is like an unconventional way that like if you get stuck or you're going through like a challenge, like what's an
mhm.
unconventional way of dealing with that for you?
Slow down. Slow down to speed up is what I'd like to say.
Mm,
So when we can slow down and observe and actually pay attention to what's really happening and define it and name it, then we can do something about it. But what we do is we just keep going, going, going. We hustle, we grind, we get it done, we focus, we finish. And then we're so exhausted and we're burned out that we don't have any mental capacity to be able to actually think about things. We're just exhausted. And now we're in
yeah.
recovery mode. Whereas if we slow down, pay attention, stay curious, don't judge it, actually look at it, name it, get clarity, then we can learn how to do something different about it that's going to give us a more of a long game instead of the short game. That's why we slow down so we
Yeah.
can speed up.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's so incredibly important. And in this like hustle culture, like that, it seems that that's the only way in many cases. And it's such like a masculine energy. I think that women especially need to lean in and slow down. Tell me about like, I really think the opportunity to slow down is something that could be a daily ritual or something that is a recipe for moving things forward. Talk to me about your recipes or rituals that you do for yourself or that you help clients with.
Yes. So when it comes to rituals, I think it's so important that we create really good habits and new habits. Um, so when I talk about slow down, let's take a minute for that, because I think the thing that we have to do is, instead of saying, okay, and I love the journaling and been doing that for a long time. I think it's a good reflection time. But what about every day, after every meeting, after this conversation, after what, like, just take a moment to go, okay, what went well? What energy did I feel? What was a struggle? Where did I feel like the little nudges, or like, ooh, whatever? Don't judge it. Like, literally don't judge it. Just stay curious about it, so that we can get in a habit of reflection.
Mm.
We need a habit of reflection, not just at the end of the day, but take the moments that we might miss throughout the day. That's always my biggest recommendation, is just literally, like, I have people take a piece of paper. Now, this is really bright. I mean, it's not going to be this, but take a piece of paper and literally on the piece of paper, go, what energized me? What drained me? Okay, what did I enjoy? What did I not enjoy?
Mhm.
Okay, literally just start making your list. Don't judge it. Just stay curious about it
Yeah,
and get in a habit of observing yourself.
I
And
love
when you
that.
can do that, then you can do something about it, but you can't change what you don't see.
Yeah. Well, I just came up with a new term because as you were saying that, and I look back at what my life was like, I was Zoom stacking. That's all I did.
Mm,
I had one Zoom on top of another Zoom, and I didn't even have time to go to the bathroom between most of them for the majority of my career, right? Especially when
mhm,
Zoom came in, because we could become so efficient. We didn't have to
mhm,
drive, we didn't have to do any of these other things. So I'd find myself with 9 to 12 Zoom meetings a day. So really being able to take a little bit of a moment to breathe and audit. I kind of call it an abundance audit in my
yeah,
world, but it's to track that energy.
yeah.
What mentors, or how important is community to you
Mm,
to really strengthen where you are? We're a part of GoBundance Women, which is a
mhm,
mastermind. How
mhm,
important is your environment to you?
mm. Who you have around you is so important. First of all, we know that we become the average of who is around us, right? The five
Hmm.
people that are around us. So it's really important that we pick wisely on that. I also really believe that we're always maybe a little step ahead of somebody, that we're a step ahead, and we need to grab a hold of their hand, and also somebody else is a step ahead for us. And when we can have that idea of, like, I want to be mentored and I want to mentor others, then what we do as women, especially, is we lock arms. And when somebody trips, you're not going to fall down,
Yeah.
because we now have a hand, right? We've got some. And that is so vital to me, is that we can be around other people that can listen and not judge us, but listen to us and just ask questions, like, coach us. It's almost like having that peer coaching. I think that's one of the things, like, we've talked a little bit about, like, observing and things. I put it in this category of, you need to self coach. You need to learn how to be a coach to people, which to me only means this. I mean, my book is called Every Leader is a Coach. So I'm pretty big into
Yeah.
coaching. But sometimes people realize, oh, okay, what does that actually mean? If I'm a leader and you want me to be a coach, I don't have the credentials to do that. I don't, whatever. Here's the question that I ask. All you have to do is listen. Ask the questions and listen. Don't listen to respond, and you're thinking already, like, you're checked out because you heard something and you're trying to formulate your response. What you want to do is listen, to ask questions. Never come into this conversation with never having an answer. You're just listening to ask questions.
Mm, I love
Mm,
that.
If we can surround ourselves with people that will ask us those questions, and that we can ask them questions. We're not trying to problem solve. We're not trying to be the smartest person in the room. We are just literally linking arms with other people that might be a step ahead that we can learn from, or maybe they need to learn a little nugget from us because they're
Yeah,
us.
I always
beautiful.
say you get two arms for a reason, one to pull yourself up and one to pull other people up along with you. And just because you're a step ahead in something doesn't mean that the same person that you're a step ahead of isn't a step ahead in some other part of life.
Yeah.
Right? Like at GoBundance Women, we have our pillars, many different pillars of a really great life, and optimizing for all of them is so incredibly important. We set goals around them. I'm curious about the worst leadership advice that you hear out there. What is the worst piece of advice that is kind of common lore that you are against in terms of what you lead on?
Yeah. I think whether it's the advice or my mind immediately went to the biggest leadership myth is that we have to know everything to lead.
Mm,
So when I look at this, okay, we hire people to do a job. They do really great at their job. We promote them. Okay. And then we think that they're going to be a leader, a great leader, just because they were so great as a high performer. Totally different skill set. And here's the deal. When we are entrepreneurs and we have this idea for something awesome that we want to create, most of the time we can't do it alone because
yeah,
we can learn everything, but is it worth my energy to learn everything? Is it worth my time and energy to push through every space? I mean, really, you've got to find out this place where what's mine to do and what's mine to find somebody else to do. Now, as entrepreneurs, we want to make sure that we get it done. So sometimes we have to grind a little bit. Okay. But where I think that we have to shift our mindset from doing everything to instead of doing everything and doing it well, what are the things that are mine to do and what do I have to do right now? But
yeah,
what is really mine to do is my end game. And then how can I actually work myself out of a job?
I
How
love
can
it.
I give away other things? And what I found when I really got into this conversation about 12 years ago is when I really started understanding like this energy and draining. That was such a life-changing thing for me. It just gave me so much freedom to like really step into who I am when I realized like, again, I can do it all. I just can't give the energy to it and really
Yeah,
love it. And
I love
so
that.
that was a big separation for me. But when one of the things that is a mindset that I had is if it's draining for me, I don't want to give it to somebody else because I felt bad that I'm going to give them work that I don't like to
Yeah,
do. And that is the biggest shift that we've got to have in our
yeah,
mind is like when I don't love it, somebody else is going to love it. So if I
yeah.
don't give it to them, I'm giving away their joy and doing their best work potentially.
Yeah. Well, Pamela, you've been absolutely awesome today. And I'm just going to share a couple things that really hit for me. I'm a big energy person as well. And I think giving yourself permission for anyone listening to really start to look at your energy. And maybe it's going to take you time to be able to make a shift or leave your W 2 and go into entrepreneurship or find something new. But really just being able to know there's a different way. That really is what landed most. And then,
Mhm.
just this idea that, as leaders, we really do need to work on our leadership coaching skills, and being a really
Mhm.
good listener is
Mhm.
so important to that. So,
Mhm.
Mandy, what you got?
I loved the start by observing and the lead with curiosity. That's the thing Kelly and I talk about a lot. And I need that reminder. Thank you. And the idea that comparison is the biggest thief. Oh, I see that too. I so resonate with that. Thank you for that gift, Pamela.
Yeah. Thank you.
Um, so I think it's also important. You've given so much to us. You give so much to your clients. We would love to know what is an introduction or a resource that would change the ball game for you so that our listeners can give back to you.
Yes, thank you. Well, first of all, I have my book that I'd love to share with people, and every leader is a coach, and it gets into some of these details about knowing yourself to lead first. So we have to do that first, and then how do you actually be a coach and lead your team?
Yeah.
To this place of a high performing team, not just a high performing individual, but a high performing team. So that's really what I love to do in doing that work. And I'm happy to share a link with you so that people can download a book for free.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Thank you. What's that link? Just share it now so we make sure we get it out there.
Okay, I will give it to you. It's a
Long link.
so leadersacoach.com / ebook. All right.
Okay.
And I'll make sure that link goes to where it needs to go.
Okay, perfect. Well, Pamela, you've been an amazing guest. And thank you guys all for joining the Power Up Your Life podcast. If you know of someone out there that really wants to feel supported, have them check out Pamela's work, share like this, or check out GoBundanceWomen.com. We'd love to see you there. Great mentorship community for anybody really looking to scale where they're going without sacrifice. So thank you again, Pamela, and have an amazing day.
Thank you. And thank you for all the great work you guys are doing too.
Thank you.
See you soon.